Is that something whoa. Huh? What's that? Yeah. That was me. Yeah. Is it raining now? Okay. Well, thank you everyone for being here tonight. We'll begin with the verse of the Kesa, as always. And just a comment on this before we do it. You don't have to have anything special to put on top of your head or around your neck to say this. We're really wearing the Buddha's teachings. And so this is that moment where we sort of clothe ourselves in the path, in the Dharma. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Tathagata's teaching, freeing all creations. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Tathagata's teaching, freeing all creations. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Tathagata's teaching, freeing all creations. Gata of Atonement. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all. Please stand. Three bows. The fragrance of this incense invites the awakened mind to be present. It fills our sacred space, guards our minds from wrong thinking. Fragrance of this incense unites us with virtue, mindfulness, and wisdom. We offer it on behalf of all beings. You can be seated. Homage to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. I go to the Buddha for refuge. Being one with the Buddha, I resolve to each day follow the way of life he laid down for us to walk and awaken to his supreme wisdom. I go to the Dharma for refuge. Being one with the Dharma, the gates of Dharma are manifold. I vow to enter them all. The goal of wisdom is ever beyond. I shall attain it. I go to the Sangha for refuge. Being one with the Sangha, in the spirit of universal fellowship, and as a member of the Sangha, I pledge to strive for the enlightenment of all beings. The Metta Sutta. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove. Wishing in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upward to the skies, downward to the depths, outward and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, sitting or lying down, free from drowsiness, one should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding. By not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into the world of suffering. Metta prayer. May I be happy and well. May no harm come to me. May I learn compassion. May all my friends, family, and those I love be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all those troubled in body, mind, and spirit be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all those who have hurt me in body, mind, and spirit be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all those I have hurt in body, mind, and spirit be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all my enemies be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all living beings be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. So this is the silent meditation night, right? Is this the third Wednesday? It's been a crazy week. I don't know what day it is. Yeah, so this is the third one. Okay, so guided meditation. I know. I'm up here. I have the mic. I can do whatever I want. But I like to be somewhat predictable and consistent. So that's okay. I've done this before. All right, we'll do a guided meditation. As the bell fades, just let your breath settle into a nice natural rhythm. Let your belly be soft so your lungs can fill and empty completely. But you don't have to force anything. Breathe naturally but deeply. And stay connected to your breath. When you're breathing in, know that you're breathing in. Breathing out, know that you're breathing out. And let your attention settle at the center of your chest, at your heart. And let this thought ride softly on your breath, just emerging silently from your heart as you exhale. May I be happy. And we mean right now, in this moment, experiencing the happiness that comes from within and that's found in the present, not something we have to strive for, something we have to achieve, just something we can open up to right now, being happy. Free from animosity. So any angry, hateful thoughts, any ill will arise, just set that aside and give yourself freedom from that for the next 20 minutes or so. Free from animosity. May I be free from stress and affliction. So whatever comes into your awareness, sounds from outside, physical sensations, thoughts, just let them pass, let them go, or let them be. Accept them. Release them. And may I look after myself with ease. And we can do that right now, just by watching what the mind does, and calmly and compassionately returning to our object of meditation whenever we need to. Without making demands on ourselves or being forceful, just being calm, understanding ourselves. May I be happy. And extend that same wish to a loved one. Just envision them or imagine them with you or think of their name. And send them your goodwill with the thought, may they be happy. And let that goodwill expand a little farther to include a friend. Someone you like, or maybe they've been helpful to you. Just enjoy being with them. And just think of their name or envision them. And send them that goodwill with the thought, may they be happy. And do the same thing with an acquaintance. Someone that perhaps you don't know very well. Basically, you're neutral toward. Don't really like them or dislike them. But you know that like yourself, your friends, your loved ones, they want to be happy. And so just wish them that. May they be happy. And if there's someone you're not getting along with, call them to mind too. And send them the same wish, the same goodwill, wanting their happiness. And you don't have to feel something special or anything like that. Just develop this ability to be kind to people even if you're not getting along with them. May they be happy. And finally, may all beings be happy. And you can radiate that thought in all directions, or think about different kinds of beings and just send them that wish. May they be happy. maybe there's someone that you know who is experiencing some difficulty, some suffering. And call them to mind. And just let your compassion emerge for them with the thought, may they be free from suffering. And if you'd like, you can imagine that you're able to take on their suffering yourself and transform it by sort of breathing through it, taking in their suffering with your breath, and then radiating relief, calmness, comfort. May they be free from suffering. And if it's appropriate to you, you can send that to the person that you're not getting along with, or to yourself. And then to all beings, may all beings be free from suffering. And maybe you know someone who's had some good fortune. Maybe you yourself have had some good fortune. And if not, think of someone that you like and the fact that they're born in human form, in a civilized place, with enough food, clean air, things like that. And recognize those things as blessings. And just be happy for their blessings. May they enjoy their good fortune. Blessings are the result of our good action. It's not always apparent, but to be born human, we have to have done something good in the past. So even the difficult person, the one you're having trouble getting along with, has some blessings. And it's good for us to acknowledge that and share in their good fortune by wishing them well. May they enjoy their blessings. May they appreciate their good fortune. May all beings be blessed by the results of their good actions. May they appreciate their good fortune. Our happiness, suffering, blessings, those things are all a result of karma, of actions, willful actions of body, speech, and mind. Recognizing this can help us accept the ups and downs of life. I am the owner of my karma, heir to my karma, born of karma and related to all beings by karma. I live supported by my actions. Whatever I do, good or evil, skillful or unskillful, I will inherit the results. All beings are the owners of their karma, heirs to their karma. Everything rises and falls due to causes and conditions. All beings are born of karma and related to one another by karma. Whatever we do, we will inherit the results. And you can just rest your attention on your breath for a moment. Just being balanced and at peace within the vicissitudes of life and fortune. And when the bell rings, the first time, you can bring your hands together in front of your heart if you'd like. And when it rings the second time, bow slightly and take your time leaving meditation. Be aware of your surroundings. But when you're ready, open your eyes. And come back here. Buddha nature pervades the whole universe, existing right here now. In reciting the sutras, hearing the Dharma, and training the mind, great merit is attained. We dedicate this merit to the great Master Shakyamuni Buddha, the all-pervading and everlasting three treasures, to all ancestors of this Sangha and all beings in the Dharma world. May the Dharma body maintain strength and health, and years of life be lengthened for all teachers of this Sangha. Let their vows be fully realized, and may they live in perfect peace with Buddha Dharma. We pray for the health and well-being of those suffering from diseases of body, mind, or spirit, and those ministering to the sick and grieving. We pray for those suffering from violence, for the oppressed, the imprisoned, and all refugees. May they be serene through all their troubles, and may we realize the enlightened way together. Sabbe sata sadahantu avera sukha jivino katang punya phalang maihang sabbe bhagi bhavantu te. May all beings always live happily, free from animosity. May all share in the blessings springing from the good I have done. So I was at, I was at Tomoka Correctional Institution this week, as always, every Tuesday. So there's this thing going on there that's actually kind of good. There's a program where they're making some of the institutions what they call incentivized places. So like, if you do what you're supposed to do and you don't do what you're not supposed to do, you can kind of work your way up to the good places. And Tomoka is becoming one of the good places. And so there's a lot of people leaving and going to not so good places, and then people coming into Tomoka who have, been good at what they do at other correctional institutions. And so it's kind of nice. We got a lot of new... The people that were really at the core of our Buddhist group at the chapel there, we're pretty well self-managed people, and so they're still there, and we're getting a lot of new guys, which is kind of nice. And so there was a guy who has come, I guess, the last 2 or 3 weeks, and who has started asking me some questions this week. And he said, do you have any tips for dealing with anger? And I said, well, I can probably help you with that. Tell me a little bit about what's going on. And so he told me that at some point in the not too distant past, that he had been in confinement. So that's, solitary. They put you in jail within the jail. And when they put somebody in confinement, they go through all of their belongings. They toss their bunk, all of their locker and everything. They dump everything out and go through it all. And anything that looks like contraband or that you maybe aren't supposed to have or whatever, they throw it out or confiscate it or whatever. And so all of his books got thrown away, including there were some that his mother had given him. And his mother is now deceased, and so he was really unhappy about losing these books. And he had gone to the corrections officer who had been in charge of this process of going through all of his stuff, and said, why did you do that? And she was apparently kind of rude to him and said, well, you hadn't written your name in your books, so we didn't know if they were yours or not, so we threw them away, which was basically, they're just punishing him. But, that's what happens when you commit crimes and go to a place like that, right? So he understood that what had happened, He understood his role and what had happened, but he was still having a lot of trouble with anger, understandably. And he was trying to work with it so that it wasn't consuming him. And when he would try to meditate, his feelings of anger toward this person would come up. And so he wanted to know, what can I do about that? So, we talk about things like having goodwill for people, and we say the 4 vows at the end of meetings. We talk about wanting everybody to be free from suffering. We're compassionate, all that stuff. But where the rubber really meets the road in this practice is in real life like that, when real actual things happen, that are unpleasant and difficult and that kind of stuff. And the Buddha didn't teach this stuff so that we'd have it to chant about, and read books about. He did it to help us with our suffering. And so we kind of look at what the mind does and how the mind creates stress within the context of honest to gosh difficulty and unpleasant experiences and things that happen that might really be bad. It's not all in your mind, but how does your mind engage with the things that are unpleasant and difficult that happen? How much suffering are you going to experience as a result of what your mind does? The Buddha said, there was a monk who was really mad about something that had happened. Someone had done something, legitimately disrespectful toward him or whatever, and he went to the Buddha and he was ranting about this. And the Buddha goes, what the guy did was bad. He goes, yeah. He says, but he says, if you got shot with an arrow, would it hurt? And the guy said, well, of course it would hurt. He said, if you got shot with 2 arrows, would it hurt more than that? Well, yeah, of course. It hurt twice as bad. Well, what if you got shot with 3 arrows? Well, yeah, it would, more pain. And the Buddha goes, okay, so the guy wronged you. That's an arrow. And then all of this anger you're creating, all of this telling the story and everything, that's just more arrows. And those are you sticking yourself with arrows. So why not just experience the pain of the 1 arrow? Now that's actually asking quite a bit, because the human mind is wired to kind of latch onto these things and compound our suffering. But part of the practice is to work through things like that in a way that we start to disengage from the hooks that these kinds of things that the mind does put into us. So the first step, though, is to accept that you're angry. Accept yourself with your anger. You don't have to, it doesn't do you any good to demand perfection of yourself. Now, I kind of figured that this guy, because he's been practicing for a while and everything, thought that he should be able to not feel this way. Well, if you're a human being born with a human form and a human mind, you're going to feel these kinds of things sometimes. So it may not be anger, but, something, no doubt, you will experience. And so accept that first. That, that this comes with the territory of being born in this form in the Saha world, the world of where things are compounded and therefore stressful, right? So accept that that's part of that. And then I suggested that he do what we just did in meditation and cultivate the Brahmaviharas. So let me explain those a little bit for those of you who are kind of new to that practice. First of all, it's pretty easy when you're in a nice quiet place with people who are supporting your spiritual practice and you're safe and all of that. Nobody's doing anything too obnoxious toward you, right? To think, oh, may all beings be happy, right? That's pretty easy. But, when somebody has just, tossed your locker and thrown all your stuff away, well, it's a little harder to think, may all beings be happy, when you think of that person as one of those beings, right? But the fact that it's not easy is actually a part of the practice. It takes some effort to do this. And, the Eightfold Path, the sixth factor is right effort, which means recognizing what your mind is doing and then working to let go of those activities that create suffering and stress and to develop those activities that create happiness and peace. And so part of those things that we develop are these states of mind called the Brahmaviharas, which are what we just did in meditation. Metta, which means, a lot of people translate it loving kindness. I don't really like that because it's not a real word. Somebody made it up. But, goodwill, wishing others well. That's metta. May all beings be happy and well. We chant that every service. And then the next one is, the Pali word is karuna. It means compassion. It's the desire for others to be free from suffering. And it means, so metta, let me go back to that a little bit. So we start by wishing happiness for ourselves and recognizing what happiness really is. It's not material goods. It's probably not most of the things that we think are going to make us happy. It's really that comes about when we stop making ourselves miserable and when we connect to something that's really beyond this particular form. What gives your life meaning and that sort of thing. That's true happiness. And so we're asking for that for ourselves, and then we're asking for that for others. So we're not wishing that the guy who, ran us off the road earlier today gets a yacht. We're wishing that he'd be enlightened, right? That's really what we're looking for, is we're wanting them to be spiritually happy. Compassion, we say this frequently. May all beings be free from suffering, and it's right there in the four vows and those kinds of things. That we want to do this. We're doing this practice so that we can free others. But that also means, we don't want people to experience day-to-day suffering that they don't have to experience. And so, in part, we're hoping that they'll develop better mental states. But in the meantime, we don't have to wish anything in particular for them. We don't have to try to figure out how they're going to solve their problems. We just want them to not suffer. Somebody walked into my office today, and this was somebody that I work with, and was talking to me, and he said, as he was leaving, he goes, "By the way, is it okay that I wish for suffering for Vladimir Putin?" And I said, well, I've wished for suffering from Vladimir Putin too. But the truth is, the suffering that we inflict on others originates from our own suffering. So, if you really want him to stop causing suffering, wish that he'd be awake. Wish that he'd wake up. Wish that he'd not suffer, because that's how you'll stop the suffering. Now, that's a tall order. That's a very tall order. And that doesn't mean we don't need to hold people accountable for what they do and those kinds of things. But ultimately, we want everyone, even the people that we're not getting along with, to be free from suffering. If they were free from suffering, we'd probably get along with them. Most of them, the ones that we encounter day to day. So the third of the Brahmaviharas, the Pali word, is mudita. So sometimes translated as joy or gladness or sympathetic joy, something like that. And it really means that we recognize that good fortune is a blessing. We use this word blessings, kind of casually out there, but in Buddhism, blessings means something fairly specific. It's actually it's almost synonymous with the idea of merit or goodness. They're all pretty much the same thing. So when we share merit at the end, may all beings always be happily free from animosity. May all share in the blessings that spring from the good we have done. That's what we're talking about, the results of our good actions. So when we have good fortune, this is the result, and we may not know exactly what the result of, but this is the result of good actions we've done in the past. Or goodness that has occurred in the past relative to us. This moment rests atop an infinite number of other moments, an infinite number of other things that had to happen in order for us to be here right now. And some of those things had to be good. In order for us to be human, so only humans and certain of the higher beings can actually seek enlightenment. Only people that have some good karma would bother to be here tonight. You have to have some goodness in you in order to want to be better, right? Otherwise, you'd be wallowing in your own whatever somewhere. So to recognize that yourself have had good fortune is also recognizing your own goodness. And when you do that for others, then you're recognizing their goodness also. Even if you don't like them, even if they're difficult people. The fact that they're born human in a civilized land where the teachings are available, even if they don't listen, don't pay attention, aren't here, but even just to have that available means there's the seed of goodness in them that can develop and ripen. And so that's what we're wishing for. The last one, upeka, or equanimity, is really accepting what is as a result of what has been. Like I said, this moment rests atop a bunch of others. We can't undo any of them. So if the guy at the correctional institution says that officer shouldn't have done that, that would be like saying that something that happened in the past should be undone, which is impossible. You can't change the past. You can't predict the future, but you can affect it by changing what you do now. So, what time is it? Think about how long I can ramble. We have this form and this mind, but it's not really ours. There's this teaching in Buddhism of the not self, right? I walked in here with a certain collection of molecules that were all sort of clinging together, and a lot of them have left me since I got here, and I've picked up some others. There's stuff burning in my body and things becoming a part of me and all of that. And so I'm different than I was even 45 minutes ago. And so are you. In fact, chances are good, since we've all been sitting here breathing, that some of me is now some of you. Okay? We're much more like just kind of energy moving through space, waves on the ocean, than we are like anything that's discrete and concrete and has any degree of permanence and that we can hold on to and own. And it's the same with feelings that arise, thoughts that arise, perceptions that arise, and our awareness. Those things are all constantly changing, and we really don't have much in the way of ownership over them. I can't decide what I'm going to feel. I ring the bell and think, okay, I'm going to sit here and not think, oh, wait, that was a thought, right? Thoughts arise. There was and we don't do anything to create them. There was a famous Zen master, Soen, who would say that thoughts were secretions of the mind. They're things the mind produces without any help from anything that we identify as us. But what we do own is the results of what we do, our actions, our karma. That's ours. I can't give it away to anybody, right? I'm going to experience the results of what I do. And so when we accept that and understand that, then when we encounter difficulties, when we encounter difficult people, and we realize this, that none of them, that they don't have any tangibility, that that they're just a process too, as we are, and the result of action that has happened in the past, it makes it a little easier to accept what you're encountering. Putin, I'm not saying anything he's done is good, but he's doing what karma has caused him to do. We could wish that he would do differently, and maybe he will. Maybe something will happen. Probably not. It depends on what has happened in the past. That's not forgiveness, okay? It's understanding and accepting. And I said it's not forgiveness. We don't have to cling to anger and animosity toward people in order to want them to be accountable for their actions. And when we think all beings are the owners of their karma, heirs to their karma, will inherit the results of their actions, good or evil, we're recognizing, that if someone does something bad, they're going to experience that. They're also going to experience the ripening of their good actions too. So it makes it easier for us to put our own emotions and responses to things in balance. So when you think about this and okay, so how does this work in the real world, Morris? And so I told this guy about something that had happened to me. This was back before COVID, so it was a few years ago. And I was at the Y, and I was teaching this course. It was like Tai Chi for older people to reduce their risk of falls. And so I was getting ready to start my class. And the class was in this room that wasn't really used for much of anything else. The only other thing in there was a ping pong table. And there had been this sort of unofficial ping pong club that had formed. And so they were showing up at the Y every day to play ping pong. And so I went in to set up my class and said, hey guys, I've got to set up in here. You got to move the table out of the way. And this guy goes, we're not stopping. And I said, no, seriously, I got a class starting soon, and I got to get things set up. I need you to stop, put it away now. And he says, the manager, he said his name, I'm not going to repeat his name, said that your class doesn't start for another 10 minutes. We're going to keep playing for 10 more minutes. I said, no, you're going to put the ping pong table away now because I got to set up for my class. And he was this far away from me, looked me right in the eye and told me exactly what I should do. In very, very direct and quite somewhat, unpleasant terms. So there were a number of options I had at that moment. So one of them was I could have decked him, but that would get me fired and that wouldn't do anybody any good. So I went up front, I told the manager, hey, you gotta come deal with this guy. And so he did, and I set up for class. And every time I went into the Y after that, I'd walk in and I'd have to see this guy sitting there. And I admit, I was struggling with this, And so after a while, I started doing just what we did today, cultivating the Brahmaviharas toward him. It didn't make him a better person, but it made me a little bit better person. It made it a little easier for me to let go of the animosity toward him and to stop running that over in my mind and, and those kinds of things. But what really did it for me, what really allowed me to let go of this, was I did something nice for him. I didn't tell him I was doing it, because I really did it for me, but I actually went and dealt with management, created a situation that actually made the ping pong clubs set up a little bit better and a little bit less conflicted. And knowing that I had done that, doing a kindness for someone actually feels good. And the fact that it feels good makes you glad you did it. And when you remember it, it makes you glad you did it again. And so you're actually likelier to be kind to someone again when you relive moments of kindness in the past. So, and then the last thing I told this inmate to do is I reminded him the first step, though, is to be compassionate for yourself. As part of this practice, we tell ourselves we have to be compassionate, we have to be compassionate, we have to be compassionate. We have to start by being compassionate for ourselves. We have to recognize that we're experiencing suffering because we're born in this form. This is what we got. And this is, the best thing we can do is work with this. And that means accepting ourselves with our humanness, which sometimes is unpleasant and often imperfect. So anyway, that's all I had tonight. Thank you for being here. Any questions? Uh-oh, Neil's going for the mic.
Already on. So I understand where you're going with the anger and dealing with things that are kind of within our realm. And I know you touched on Putin. I think that a lot of maybe anger for me comes from a place of compassion. And so maybe what I would like to know, I understand causes and conditions, and I work on my perspective quite a bit. The challenge I have is finding a perspective where I can deal with all of the suffering that's going on. And so maybe that's, I don't know if it's a question as much as how do you frame that so that you can deal?
Well, you just did it. I mean, the difficulty is there's a challenging situation here. There's somebody who's doing something bad that's bad in the sense that it's causing suffering for other people. And so what do I do with these feelings? Well, work with them, work through them. First of all, there's people that are suffering. You can be compassionate toward them. If there are things that you can do it. If not, well, do what you can for others. I mean, there's plenty of suffering in the world. You don't have to go to Ukraine to find it, And so do what you can to alleviate suffering in your own community. Develop a kinder, more compassionate person in yourself, and you're doing a lot of this. I mean, you're very supportive of this community, which is here exactly to create less suffering in the world and to create more compassion in the world. So do what you can to further that. And when the anger arises, just don't hold on to it. Anger is like an addiction. We really kind of like it, even though it causes us a lot of stress and suffering. It doesn't do us a bit of good to get angry, and yet it's real easy to hold on to. We really want it. And there's people out there who know this and make money off of this by creating reasons for us to get angry, right? And so it's kind of like giving up any bad habit. The urge comes up, let it go. The urge comes up, let it go. And do that over and over, and eventually you start to realize that you feel better when you don't give in to the urge. And if there's something productive you can do, great, do that, because that'll feel good. Do something kind. But don't give in to the urge to start building on the storyline and all of that kind of stuff. It's not turning your back on the problems of the world either. It's really training your mind so that you can deal with them more skillfully and more selectively. Does that help?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, well, it's about 8 o'clock, so we should call it a night. Let's do the Great Vows. Creations are numberless, I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible, I vow to transform them. Dharma gates are boundless, I vow to enter them. Enlightened ways unsurpassable, I vow to embody it. Creations are numberless, I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible, I vow to transform them. Dharma gates are boundless, I vow to enter them. Enlightened ways unsurpassable, I vow to embody it. Creations are numberless, I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible, I vow to transform them. Dharma gates are boundless, I vow to enter them. The enlightened way is unsurpassable, I vow to embody it. Friends, I respectfully remind you, life and death are of supreme importance. Time swiftly passes by and opportunity is lost. Each of us must strive to awaken. Awaken, take heed, do not squander this life. Please stand. Three bows to the Buddha. The teacher. To each other. Just one. Thank you all for being here.